My name is Elias, and I'm 27 years old. For as long as I can recall, my life has been a constant reminder that I was never the priority in my family. I don't share this to wallow in self-pity, but growing up watching your parents pour everything into their favored child, while you're left with crumbs breaks something deep inside. My older brother, Luca, 5 years my senior, was always the prince of our household, while I was the one shining his throne. It started when we were kids. My parents, Victor and Helena, had a peculiar way of distributing their love and resources. Luca, with his charming grin and entitled demeanor, always got the finest new outfits, costly gadgets, school excursions, and the largest bedroom in the house. I, on the other hand, was handed his worn-out clothes, broken toys, and a mattress that creaked with every move. If I dared ask for something, my mother would shoot me a look that screamed, "Don't be greedy, Elias, not everything is meant for you." My father would chime in, "Luca's older, he needs more," as if my youth stripped me of any claim. I vividly remember one Christmas when I was about 10. Luca, then 15, wanted an expensive mountain bike. Without a second thought, my parents took on debt to get it for him. I had asked for a soccer ball, nothing extravagant. On Christmas morning, I watched Luca ride his shiny new bike in the yard while my mother snapped photos like he was a celebrity. Meanwhile, I got a pair of socks and a flimsy plastic ball that broke after a few kicks. When I asked why I didn't get the ball I wanted, my father snapped, "Don't be ungrateful, Elias, we can't afford everything." But for Luca, money was never an issue. The disparity only grew as we got older. Luca wasn't exactly a scholar. He barely scraped through high school with poor grades and had no interest in college or work. Yet my parents excused it all. My mother would say, "He's a free soul," as if idleness was a noble trait. I, however, was the dutiful one. I earned good grades, helped around the house, and at 16, I started working part-time at a supermarket to help with expenses. Not out of choice, but necessity. My father, Victor, was an electrician, but his income barely covered the basics. My mother, Helena, stayed home, occasionally selling baked goods for extra cash. But their priorities were clear, and they all centered on Luca. When he turned 18, they bought him a used car. It wasn't fancy, but it ran. At that age, I was still taking the bus to work. When I asked why they didn't help me, my mother said, "Luca needs the car to get around. You'll manage," as if my time was worthless. By 20, I graduated high school with honors and started working full-time at a furniture factory. The job wasn't glamorous, but it paid decently, and I was proud to contribute to the family. Yet my parents quickly took advantage. "Elias, the bills are tight," my father would say monthly. "We need more of your paycheck." Foolishly, I complied, handing over nearly 70% of my earnings to cover electricity, water, internet, even groceries. Meanwhile, Luca, then 25, did nothing. He lounged at home, playing video games, watching TV, or hanging out with friends, contributing zero. Exhausted from work, I once confronted him. "Luca, why don't you get a job, even something small to help out?" He laughed like I'd told a joke. "Work? Nah, little brother, that's not for me. I'm meant to live the good life." With that smug grin I loathed, he added, "You keep slaving away. Someone's gotta pay the bills." I wanted to lash out, but I held back, knowing my parents would take his side. They always did. Things got worse over time. At 24, I was pulling double shifts at the factory for extra cash. I'd come home, arms sore and back aching, to find Luca playing on a new gaming console my parents had bought with spare money. Spare from what? I was the one footing nearly every bill. I once checked their internet bill and saw they'd upgraded to a premium package with extra channels just so Luca could watch sports in HD. When I confronted my mother, she said, "Don't be jealous, Elias. Your brother needs something to keep him happy." Happy? From what? His day of doing nothing. My breaking point came at 26. My father called me to the kitchen, my mother by his side, and said they needed more money. "The bills are too high, Elias. If you don't pitch in more, we won't make it." I was already giving over 80% of my salary, barely able to afford clothes or a rare night out. When I asked what they needed the extra for, my father mumbled about rising costs. It didn't add up. A month later, I discovered the truth. Luca and his friends had gone on a week-long beach vacation at a fancy resort. I found out through his social media posts, pictures of him sipping cocktails by the ocean while I sweated at the factory. When I got home, I confronted my parents. "Where did Luca get the money for a vacation?" I demanded, already suspecting the answer. My mother dodged the question, but my father, in his usual commanding tone, said, "That's not your concern. Focus on your role." I couldn't take it anymore. My hands shook with rage. My role. I pay for everything: electricity, water, food, even the damn internet for Luca's games. And now you want more so he can party? Why don't you make him work? He's 5 years older than me. My mother stayed silent, eyes on the floor. My father's face turned red. You don't get to tell us how to parent, he shouted. Luca's different. He's not built for work like you. You work he enjoys. That's how it is. If you don't like it, leave. Those words hit like a blade. I looked at my mother, hoping she'd say something, anything, to defend me. She just nodded as if she agreed. Anger and heartbreak churned inside me. My whole life, I'd been the workhorse, the one who sacrificed, while Luca lived like royalty. Now they were saying it was my duty, but in that moment something broke free. Fine, I said, voice steady despite the storm inside. I'll leave and you can handle your own bills. It's that simple. My father's expression shifted from anger to shock, as if he couldn't fathom my words. My mother gasped, You can't do this to us, Elias. We're your family. I let out a bitter chuckle. Family? You mean Luca's leftovers and a creaky mattress? That's your idea of family? Without another word, I packed a bag with essentials, clothes, documents, and my small savings, and left. I didn't say goodbye. They didn't deserve it. That night, I stayed in a cheap motel while searching for a place to rent. It wasn't easy, but within a week, I found a small apartment. It was modest, but for the first time, I could breathe. Predictably, my parents didn't let go easily. 3 days after I moved out, my mother called, her voice dripping with guilt. Elias, how could you abandon us? We're your family. We gave you everything. I gripped the phone, tempted to list the hand-me-downs and neglect. Instead, I said, Mom, I'm busy, bye, and hung up. I thought they'd get the hint, but I was wrong. A week later, my father called, his tone gruff but tinged with desperation. Elias, this isn't a game. We need your help. We can't cover the bills, and you know we rely on you. Come back. We'll work it out. I laughed, not out of amusement but disbelief. Work it out, so I keep paying while Luca lounges. No, Dad, you told me to leave if I didn't like it. I left. Figure it out. He hung up, but the calls kept coming. My mother alternated between begging and manipulation. Elias, please come back. Your brother's struggling. He's not eating or sleeping well. Don't you care? Luca struggling. The last time I saw him, he was gaming with a beer, carefree as ever. When I pointed this out, she switched tactics. You're so selfish. We raised you, gave you a home, food, clothes, and now you treat us like garbage. It stung, but I wasn't the kid who swallowed shame anymore. Clothes, you mean Luca's cast-offs? Don't make me laugh, Mom. I hung up. My father was blunter. Elias, you're the man of the house now, he said like it was a badge of honor. Your brother isn't ready for work. You know how he is. You're strong. You can handle this. Come back and things will change. Change? What would they give me the big room and make Luca work? No, it would be the same, me slaving, Luca thriving. No, Dad, I said. If you need money, tell Luca to get a job. He's 32, not a kid. He shouted, Don't talk about your brother like that. I hung up and stopped answering. One day, my mother showed up at the factory. I don't know how she found me, but there she was, eyes red, hair disheveled. Elias, please, she pleaded, ignoring my coworker's stares. We're going to lose the apartment if we don't pay rent. Your father's trying to find work, but it's not enough. You're our only hope. For a moment, I felt sorry for her. Then I remembered her silence when I was breaking my back. Mom, I'm not coming back, I said firmly. Tell Luca to step up. He's the oldest, right? Let him take responsibility. She shook her head as if the idea was absurd. Luca can't. You know he's different. Different? Just a spoiled slacker. I turned and went back to work. When I glanced out the window, I saw her crying as she left. After that, I blocked their numbers. I was done with the drama and guilt trips. I wanted to live, and for the first time I was. I started going out, meeting people. I made friends at the gym, guys who invited me to play soccer on weekends. I met a girl, Maya, who worked at a cafe near my apartment. It wasn't serious, but chatting with her, laughing, and sipping coffee without worrying about family bills was new and freeing. My paycheck, once siphoned by my parents, now let me save, buy things for myself, and feel valued. 3 months later, my Aunt Sylvia, my mother's sister and the only relative who treated me fairly, called. Elias, I don't want to interfere, but you need to know what's happening, she said, her voice heavy. She told me everything. After I left, my parents tried to keep things as they were. Without my money, they unraveled. They couldn't pay rent, utilities, or even buy food. They thought Luca, their golden child, would step up. But when they asked him to work, he laughed. Me? Work? I'm not here to support you guys. If Elias won't pay, figure it out. He packed his things and left. No one knew where he went, maybe crashing with a friend, blowing whatever money he had. Without Luca or me, my parents were alone. Their landlord gave them a month to pay their debts, but they couldn't. They were evicted. My father, who always bragged about being the provider, took a low-paying plumbing job he barely understood. My mother, who'd never worked, started sewing clothes to sell at a market, but her inexperience meant poor quality and meager earnings. They now lived in a tiny, moldy room in a dangerous part of town, where the air reeked of garbage and the windows were cracked. One day, while having coffee with Maya, I got a text from an unknown number. It was Luca. "Hey, little bro, how's it going? Heard you're doing all right. Can you spot me some cash? I'm in a bind." I laughed so hard Maya jumped. Luca begging for money, the guy who mocked me for working. I didn't reply. I blocked him and went back to my coffee. He could fend for himself like I did. Now, when I think of my family, I feel no guilt, only relief. My parents built their own ruin by coddling Luca while treating me like a servant. Luca, meanwhile, lost his throne and his free ride. I'm finally living for me. Maya sometimes asks if I have regrets. "They're your parents," she says, her gentle eyes urging me to reflect, but I'm honest. "No, I don't. They chose Luca and he ditched them. I chose myself." She nods, though I know she can't fully grasp it. No one can unless they've lived it. I'm writing this from my apartment, a beer in hand, music playing softly. Outside, the city glows at night. Tomorrow, I've got a soccer game with friends. Maya and I are planning a weekend beach trip. It's not a perfect life, but it's mine. Every dollar I earn, every laugh I share, every day without their weight is a victory. My parents and Luca thought they could use me forever, that I'd never fight back. But I did. And now, as they face the consequences, I'm building my future. Update. A year has passed since I walked away, and today, strolling along the beach with Maya, the sunset painting the sky, I feel a peace I never thought possible. My parents and Luca are faint memories, trapped in the mess they made. I carry no guilt, just the certainty that I did right by freeing myself. Every step I take proves I'm worth more than the scraps they gave me. That freedom, that justice, is my greatest triumph.